The sports generals are on patrol. I am your host, Unger to the Max. Unfortunately, Brian is not able to be with us today. However, he will be back for tomorrow's episode of So What's the Catch, which, if you did not watch my update video from last night, we will be doing So What's the Catch tomorrow from noon to 2. Got that? So What's the Catch is happening tomorrow from noon to 2. And we are doing that for a couple reasons. One, because it is the Cleveland Guardians home opener. Two, the Cleveland Cavaliers will be hosting the Atlanta Hawks for the right to play the Miami Heat in the first round of the NBA playoffs. And three, because it's the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson Day. And 4, it is the first night of Passover. So we had to adjust. Normally we do So What's the Catch from 2 to 4. But this is Sports Generals. So normally we do our show from 12:30 to 1:30. But because of some scheduling conflicts, we had to adjust, and we're going from noon to 1. And I see Jay is in the backstage area, so let's get him in here. Welcome to the show, my fellow sports journal, Mr.
What's going on?
Mr. Manolates as usual himself, Jason Vaughn.
What's up? What's up?
Not too much. How are things?
It's cool, man. Just trying to adapt to this early time, trying to get everything situated.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll be back to our usual 12:30 time next week.
Absolutely. What's going on now, man? What's going on that's got you just in a disarray right now with the sports world? What's going on? Talk to me.
I mean, you know me. I can find anything to rant about. Dude, we've done enough shows together where I can just go on and on and on about anything and everything.
No, not you.
What?
No, but it's a lot of stuff going on. Like, it needs to be discussed. Where do you start, really? That's where we're at with it.
Maybe I'm wrong about this, but this feels like one of the best times of year in the sports world because you have the NBA playoffs happening right now. You had March Madness wrap up like a week ago or so. So you still had that happening. Major League Baseball just began their season. You have the Stanley Cup playoffs happening. Would you agree that this feels like one of the best times of year in the sports world?
Oh, absolutely. And I said this a couple of shows ago, especially the NFL. Even though the season ended, when off season started, the season started. And you got free agency acquisitions that have occurred. There's trade talks that's, of course, ongoing. You got the draft that's coming up.
Sorry, I had a frog in my throat.
Oh, no, yeah. No, we're really going to dive into that one because that's major. But then you got the draft that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And then, like you alluded to, there was the situation that's going on with the podcast that was alarming, to say the least. So NFL got dynamite of things to talk about.
Which, I mean, speaking of dynamite, I heard AEW was a fantastic show last night. I did not get to watch a lot of it, so thankfully I have this thing called DVR, so I'll be able to go back and watch it.
Yeah, you should be good. Ready to roll.
Anyway, I have not gotten a chance to see this Baker Mayfield podcast that everybody's talking about. So tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, so basically, Baker Mayfield, he went on a podcast. Seemed like it was a bunch of friends of his from Texas, where they discuss, pretty much what's going on in his world, what's he up to now. But then it got into the your current state of what's up with the Browns. And he threw the Browns under the bus. Let's be frank about it. He basically said that he felt disrespected, which that's alarming to me. He also said, which is true to a degree. Multiple coaches every single year. The only pushback I give him is he said that he had 4 on the show and it was only 3 because Stefanski been here 2 times, 2 years. So it was stability that was starting to form, but the way he gave off this facade is still Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be Cleveland every single year. So much dysfunction. How could they do this to me? And what I took away from the show was, instead of doing it on a podcast, why not go on the NFL Network? Talk to Kurt Warner. Why not go on ESPN? Sit down with Stephen A or someone. Sit down with someone that you could get your message across to, if that's the direction you want to go in. But 2 is, who is telling him what to do? It's kind of head scratching that you're basically applying for a job. So all of the content that you're putting out here is being seen by the other owners around the league. And if you're bad mouthing an organization that took a chance on you as the number 1 pick, they're going to be left with, well, why would we bring him here and bring all the toxicity into our locker room? And it's just weird, man. He just talked down on the organization, and I just felt like business is business wherever you go. So I would expect him to understand that, but obviously he doesn't.
I mean, we've come to expect this type of thing with Baker Mayfield because I'll just say it outright. He's a little child.
Yeah, he is. I agree with you.
He is one of the most petty. I think petty is the right word there.
That's accurate.
He is one of the most petty NFL players I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Very.
Yeah.
And it's again, the quarterback is the CEO of your organization, and you want a CEO that you can trust, that is going to always say the right things in the bad times and in the good times. On the press conference, they're always going to be a professional. They're going to conduct themselves accordingly. And most importantly, they're going to always give that type of motivation to the team, whereas despite what's going on in the front office, me and you, we're in this together and we can still overcome the storm. So he's not displaying any of those things. He's still being petty. His childish behavior, sophomoric is another term I like to throw. But I don't understand how he believes that this technique is going to help him and propel his career to go further. It seems like he's really killing himself career-wise. Yeah,
I get that. Watch what happens, though. He leaves Cleveland, goes to a different organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he ends up haunting us for years. Because that always... Am I wrong in saying that usually happens when somebody leaves, no matter what team it is? If somebody leaves Cleveland, it feels like they somehow come back to haunt the Cavaliers, Browns, or Guardians for years afterwards.
You know what? It's like if you're in a relationship with someone, and the moment the relationship ends, the girlfriend gets her hair done different. She cuts her hair off. She goes in a whole different direction. New me, new style. And that always seems to be the same format when you apply that to sports. So he might get himself back on track and be a pro with a different organization. But right now, he's just killing his stock.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like when we let Joe Hayden go, he went to Pittsburgh and he would end up terrorizing us for a few years anyway.
And he was always classy about it, right? Joe Hayden always been a pro's pro. So despite that fact, Hey, I'm with the Steelers. I was with the Cleveland my entire career. They drafted me. They took a chance on me, but he never had nothing bad to say about us.
Right.
Or Joe Thomas.
Right. Although Joe
Yeah.
Thomas never actually went to another team.
Right. He retired, but the whole point is he's a perennial. He's a shoe-in first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's played with more turmoil than any other player. Yet he doesn't have nothing bad to say about the organization because he's a pro's pro.
I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get it.
Yeah, it's all about how you conduct yourself, man. Your voice is your tool to communicate, and you got to understand what you're communicating out to the masses. He does.
Okay, not to bring religion into this, but you just sounded like a preacher.
Well,
let me guess, you are a preacher.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna play that game. No, but you have to, man. That voice, you have to be able. You have to understand, and I think that's the biggest thing. Just quarterbacking, right? You have to understand wherever you go, whatever you say is being recorded. Everybody's paying attention to you, and the little things that you may do with your, behind closed doors with your friends, you can't do that in front of the general public just because you are a professional quarterback. There's only 30 quarterbacks in the entire world that start for a pro team, and it's so difficult to get one of those guys, right? And you have a privilege of playing out your dream on national television.
Right.
You have progressive commercials, all of these type of, other outside the field.
Don't get me started on those.
Man, I can't wait to see the new series and is it moving insurance? I don't know. But he has to be cognizant of that, and he clearly isn't. So to answer your original question, like if you go to another team and do good, it's a long shot because skill wise he's limited. Like I've been stating, he can only do so much. He has to be in the right system, and he's going to learn. I was in the best offensive line ever. Now I'm going. If you go to Seattle, they don't even have an offensive line. At least Russell Wilson could, maneuver out of that. He can't.
Yeah, Tasha even agrees with me. She says, "I agree, Josh. Jason is very well spoken."
Yeah, but we got to understand, man. Quarterback different is you're treated differently being a quarterback. Plain and simple. You can't go on the podcast.
Yeah, to broaden that, but stay on that whole quarterback thing. I've talked about this on multiple episodes. I think the quarterback gets way too much credit for when a team has its system. Excuse me. I think the quarterback gets way too much credit when a team has a successful season or like if they go on to win the Super Bowl. Because more often than not, it's the quarterback that wins league MVP. It's the quarterback that wins Super Bowl MVP.
True.
And I'm just looking around like, do the skill position players not exist? Because it just feels like more often than not, you're seeing the quarterback get MVP, Super Bowl MVP. And I'm like, okay, this wide receiver had an amazing season. Like, think about this for a second. Let's say there's a play designed for Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball to Devontae Adams. I know Devontae's with the Raiders, but just for the sake of this discussion.
Right.
So let's say on a play design is designed for Aaron Rodgers to hit Devontae on a 5-yard route. Okay? Devontae catches that and turns it into, let's say, a 30-yard gain.
Right.
Who made that play? Was it Aaron Rodgers or was it Devontae?
It was Devontae.
There you go. Or again, I know Tyreek Hill is in Miami, but just for the sake of this discussion, I'm going to put in Kansas City. Like, if Tyreek Hill goes on to, catch a game-winning touchdown on a play that was designed to go 15 yards, and he turns it into a 45-yard game-winning touchdown, it was Tyreek Hill that made that touchdown, right?
Exactly.
So,
but he gets all the credit, though.
Yeah, Mahomes gets all the credit. Like, oh my God, that was an amazing throw. And I'm just like, does Tyreek Hill not get any credit? Like, in my other example, why doesn't Devontae Adams get any credit?
That's just the way it's always been, my friend. Unfortunately, quarterbacks always going to get the recognition. Even when it comes to NBA, it's always going to be the point guards or the small forwards. Centers rarely get the respect that they deserve, but it's always going to be the glory or the glorified. The word I'm trying to look for, glam. The glamorous position. And quarterback, that's the glamour position, unfortunately. Especially sometimes where offensive lineman should have won the award. You know what I mean? Or running back. But it's always going to be the quarterback.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just using wide receiver as a specific.
Oh, yeah, I follow you. Yeah, I follow you totally on that. Yeah. It's just quarterbacks always get the glory, man.
Exactly.
When it's good. Yeah.
Or like, you could even take that to the NBA, like what you were saying, where like, the superstars always get like special treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I was at that 76ers Cavaliers game a couple weeks ago when Philadelphia ended up winning 112-108. But there was a play down the stretch where Joel Embiid clearly fouled Darius Garland in a crucial part of the game. Do you know which part I'm talking about?
Yeah, actually, yeah, exactly. And he didn't get the call at all.
Exactly. But guess what? The NBA comes out like a day or two later and says, "Oh wait, we screwed up. There should have been a foul called."
It's insulting our intelligence. Like, they don't understand. Like, we already see this. We see this with our own eyes. They're trying to sell to us that, oh, well, it was just a split second. You guys got all of this technology that you can look at the replay. Clearly, it shows what happened. Just be real. I think we would respect them more if they was real about it and say, you know what, Cavs, they're not winners. They have to, like, come into their own. So that's why we didn't give them the call initially, because Embiid is he's established. Garland, he's new, so he got to earn his way.
Right.
I respect that more.
I don't have a vote, obviously, but there's so many candidates this year that I think you can make a valid argument for.
It is. Right. Joel Embiid, and again, we got to understand, what is MVP? MVP is a regular season award. So regular season.
Do you like that it's only regular season, or do you think they should extend it into the postseason?
I think they could keep it the way it is, but I think the writers and the people that vote on it, I think they should also factor in the playoffs. So, like, full body of work. Because you could see Embiid do good all through regular season, but what if he choked in the playoffs? And let's call it for what it is. He does that from time to time, right?
Right.
If Embiid goes on and has a good postseason, I think that should be factored into it. But, the writers is going to stop at regular season, and they won't even give him credit for it. And that, I feel, diminishes the award.
Yeah. And, everybody's talking about it's going to be either Giannis, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic. But, I get it. The Memphis Grizzlies have an insane record without John Morant. I get that. Last I checked, they were like 20-2 or something. But even still, I think John Morant should still be in the MVP discussion. And because think about it. I get it. The Grizzlies have a fantastic record without him. But again, they were the number 8 seed last year. And where are they now? They're the number 2 seed.
That's nice.
That is a massive improvement.
But let me ask you this question, Josh. So what's your definition of an MVP? Let's do that, and then that'll help me give my response to that.
Okay, so obviously MVP is a very subjective thing. Like you and I are not going to have the same definition.
Mm-hmm.
For me, MVP, I hate when it's like people say, "Oh, MVP is just whoever has the most points and the most rebounds, whatnot and whatnot." I'm just like, that's not what MVP is. Like MVP for me is how much did you help your team improve their record? How like if you let's say you take Nikola Jokic off the Denver Nuggets, how much worse would they be? Type thing. So I lean heavily into the second letter of the word of the acronym, MVP, which is valuable.
Right.
Like, again, if Joel Embiid wasn't with the Philadelphia 76ers, would they be playing this well? Would they have the same record? I know he's not in the MVP discussion, but Pascal Siakam wasn't on the Toronto Raptors. Would they be where they are?
I feel that.
If I could keep going, if Giannis wasn't with the Bucks, would they have made it to the finals last year? Would they be the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference? So I really lean heavily into that word value. Maybe a little bit too much. I don't know. But I do take like the stats that each player puts up into consideration. I don't just say, nope, that part doesn't matter. Like brush it off to the side type thing. Because you can't do that. But I just take the value into it a little more.
No, I totally understand. And I agree with you. If you take this person off the team, then what do you have, right?
Exactly.
And some could say, okay, if LeBron wasn't on the Lakers, or what type of conversation are we having? But the difference with him this year is he making his team better. Obviously, he's not, right? Because even though he has the numbers, he's not making his team better. But Embiid, he makes his team better, do he? Yeah, I don't know. It's that question mark because his team is winning, but is it because of him? If Joker off the Nuggets, I think that they're not going to win as many games, and they're not going to be in the same position versus when they had Jamal Murray.
I think that's also part of it is like for Joker to be carrying the Nuggets the way he is without Jamal Murray being there. Because Jamal Murray, when he's healthy, is a dynamo. He can put up 40 points in his sleep.
Exactly. Same thing with Ja Morant, though, right?
Exactly.
So his team is winning without him. They're still successful.
Does that hurt his case?
Yeah, I think it does.
In your opinion?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Your team is doing good without you, and it's 20-2, and you're not on the court. It seems like that's more of a coaching and team camaraderie thing versus Ja Morant thing. He's still a phenomenal talent, but
yeah,
just MVP. No, I would dismiss that.
Okay, and I think that's a fair argument. I just look at the overall picture for Memphis, and I'm like, for them to, like I said earlier, for them to go from being an 8 seed to now one of the favorites to come out of the West, that's a huge improvement. So that's how I view it. Anyway. So I do get what you're saying about Ja Morant and why that could hurt his case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still a phenomenal talent, but if I'm a better man, which I am, I think Joel Embiid should get this award. But again, it's just regular season. Postseason hasn't happened yet. I got a feeling he might choke in the postseason,
Yeah.
which brings me to Greek Freak.
All right. The
So
reigning finals MVP.
yeah, because now let's really have this talk. So Giannis, right? If you take him off of Milwaukee, they're probably a lotto team, right?
Most likely, yeah.
So if we really want to like dissect this MVP talk, in my personal opinion, I think Giannis should be the MVP. And I think he's the most valuable player to his team versus any of the guys that we just talked about. He got that effect that when LeBron was here or when he was with the Heat, he has that type of impact to the game overall, both sides of the court.
Yeah. What about Devin Booker? Do you think he has a solid case for MVP?
I would think no. The only reason I'm saying no, he's a hell of a talent again. He's a scorer, great. You know, I heard some people comparing Kobe. I don't really see that. But Chris Paul, I think, Chris Paul is more important to the Suns than he is. I think they can win with Chris Paul versus winning with Booker, if that makes sense.
You do have a point because Phoenix didn't become the juggernaut that we know them to be today until Chris Paul got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a very valid point there.
He's always been.
Say that again?
He's always been that way his entire career.
Yeah.
He changes cultures. It's amazing. He doesn't even have an MVP.
Right. I wonder, let's say he got traded to us.
Oh, man.
Him and Garland in the starting backcourt? Oh, that would be phenomenal.
That would, man. That Chris Paul come here, we at least to the conference finals. And that's at the minimum.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's that good,
100%
man.
agree with you.
Point guards they're the floor generals. Now Garland is learning, but he's on a job and he's learning. You know, and playoffs, he needs this experience. He needs to know how tough it is, how much it's ramped up, so he can get to the point where Chris Paul's at. But you bring Chris Paul here, oh man, he's gonna get in people's faces. Hey, you need to be over here. You're not cutting. He's not scared to be rah-rah with you. Garland got to develop that.
You know, it's interesting that you're talking about how, like, if Chris Paul came here, he would be like, hey, you need to be here and that type of thing. I'm slowly starting to see that with Darius, but I've said this a couple times. When Colin Sexton was the starting point guard, I felt like I was watching the Houston Rockets when James Harden was there. And let me explain. Because I'm not saying Colin Sexton is on James Harden's level as an all-around ball player. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you watched the Houston Rockets with James Harden, it would just be James Harden dribbling, bringing the ball up, and guys would stand there. You wouldn't see anybody like trying to set up, at least from my perspective, maybe you disagree with this, but you wouldn't see like guys coming to set a pick and roll to the basket. You didn't see guys like trying to cut into the lane and be like, hey, give me the ball. You didn't see like their big man. I think they had Clint Capella at the time going, hey, give me the ball. Give me the ball.
They did. Yeah.
It's the same type of thing. At least I saw the same type of thing here in Cleveland with Sexton, where Sexton would just bring the ball up and guys would just be standing there like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to stand here. And
dribble.
Exactly.
Dribble, yeah.
Precisely. Whereas when Garland became the official starting point guard, you saw guys like trying to get to the elbow to take a mid-range shot. You would see Jared, that pick and roll game with Jared Allen and Darius Garland before Allen went out with the injury was fantastic. You even saw Evan Mobley and Darius Garland run an effective pick and roll. So it's just amazing how like one player or one player's style of play, I should say, changes the entire style of offense.
Mm-hmm. It puts a measure on how important point guard is. It's probably what now basketball. That's the quarterback of basketball, right?
Yeah.
And they have the most pivotal role because they got the ball the majority of the time. They have to know the assignments of the other players on the court. And they have to be a selfless player. You know, like, I can't take this shot. I probably need to get this guy included because he might not mentally, he might not be there come third quarter when I need him the most. So they have to think 5 steps ahead. And experience, repetition, that's how you acquire that type of skill set. And Garland is like, they play way better with Garland.
Exactly.
It flows. It's organic.
Bingo. I'm not advocating for Sexton to be traded or anything, although I wouldn't be upset if Sexton is not on the team next season. Yeah. But if he was willing to come off the bench and play with the second unit, I'm okay with that.
I would love that, actually, man, because now he could get his volume scoring, get that second court. You know how when we had Jordan Clarkson,
yes,
and how like he developed into that role, but he had no problem with it. He took his volume shooting, and everything was a success. And Coleman could be the same type of guy because he's a shooting guard. He's a shooting guard that's converted to a point guard.
Other than Chris Paul, I don't know that there really is like the quote unquote traditional point guard anymore. I feel like in today's day and age, there really isn't other than Chris Paul, there isn't a true point guard because all these guys can, for the most part, can pull up and shoot from anywhere on the court once they cross half court. Mm-hmm. Like, do you see it the same way?
Not necessarily, because you got Miami Heat, right?
Kyle Lowry.
You got some guys that's.
Your screen froze again. There you go.
Yeah, it's different. We got Kyle Lowry, Damian Lillard. Albeit he's been injured, but it's a dying. It's not dying. It's just it's transitioning.
Yeah,
it's transitioning to being more of a Ja Morant type of guard versus the Chris Pauls of the world. But I think that let's say Sexton was playing. I think Garland is scoring more because he has to. But I think he likes to distribute more than he shoots.
Yeah, but I think we've seen enough that Garland and Sexton just cannot play together because, like I've said, when Sexton's out there, the ball just seems to get stuck.
He takes some bad shots, like how Westbrook is. Just
yeah.
like, come on.
Oh
man.
Yeah. But speaking of the Cavs, they will be playing in the play-in game against Trae Young. I would say Trae Young is one of the new styles of point guard. How do you feel about matching up with Atlanta? Because would you have preferred Charlotte?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm out. Hell yeah. We would have had our way with Charlotte because, Charlotte is a young, up-and-coming, rising team. But the Hawks, let's keep in mind, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Every time we play against the Hawks, Trae Young has his way with us. And I don't understand how we could honestly, like, I don't know how we're going to defend him because it seemed like whatever we was throwing at him was not working in the previous games. Especially when we go down to Atlanta, it seemed like we really have a tough time, like, adapting because usually the Hawks would be up.
So then I guess it's good that this game is in Cleveland.
Well, it's great. Yeah, that's in our favor. But I hope, like, is Jared Allen going to be available, do you think?
That could make a huge difference if
It
he is.
really would. It really would.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say that I'm happy we lost on Tuesday because obviously I wanted to make the playoffs without getting into this situation of win or you go home.
Mm.
But by the same token, by not getting in, we gave Jared Allen more time.
Mm.
So,
and an easier path.
What? By winning on Tuesday, you mean?
Yeah, no. Because we lost, we actually have an easier path because I'd rather play the Heat.
Oh, than play the Celtics?
Hell yeah. Especially now because the Celtics got hot at the end of the season. They probably was the hottest team in basketball.
Okay.
I'm right there with them.
Okay. So I guess we'll transition into the NBA playoffs now.
Mm-hmm.
What series are you? I know the playoffs aren't officially set because we still have Hawks Cavs to determine who's going to play the Miami Heat, and we still have the Pelicans Clippers game to see who's going to play the Phoenix Suns in the first round. But for the most part, the playoffs are set. Mm-hmm. For me, the most intriguing series, I could take the easy answer and say Nets Celtics because I think that's good. That's an emerging rivalry. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually not going to say that. I'm actually going with a different Eastern Conference playoff series. I'm going with Toronto against Philadelphia.
Interesting. Please share.
Toronto matches up really well with Philadelphia. I don't know what it is, but every time I've seen highlights of them this season, it seems like the Raptors are giving the 76ers trouble. I think it's because of how long the Raptors are, kind of taking that same Milwaukee Bucks style, if you will, and it gives the 76ers fits. And here's the vaccine caveat with this whole thing. Matisse Thybulle, one of arguably the best defender for the 76ers, he wouldn't be able to play when the series goes to Toronto because he didn't get the second vaccine.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, because Canada, and they got different restrictions. Yeah.
Correct.
Good point.
Yeah. So, if Toronto and Brooklyn had met up in the play-in tournament and Toronto had home court, Kyrie would not have been allowed to play.
See, and yeah, I'm with you on that, man. That does change the whole dynamic of that series now because of that.
Yeah. And
also, traditionally in the playoffs, what happens when James Harden gets there, right? And Embiid together.
Thank you for breaking this up. Did you see James Harden's quote the other day? I feel no pressure. Did you hear about this? No,
I didn't. Why don't you share that with us? Because
I don't know the full story, but basically from what I've heard, he's saying I feel no pressure.
And I'm excited for the Nets Celtics series. It's a lot of factors, man. First, playing against, because I don't remember Kyrie playing against the Celtics since he's left there. He always will be injured or so.
He did play in their,
with the exception of the last game.
Right, in their most recent game against Boston, in Boston, back in March something, when Jason Tatum exploded for 54.
But prior to that game, right? So Kyrie, he played with it was a match. It was something was going on with him inside internally where I'm going against the Cavs. That put him to another level. Same thing's going to happen with the Celtics. Also, you got KD going there. Jason Tatum is emerging. I don't see how Jaylen Brown could check him, right? So that's going to kind of put a matchup. We'll see how it plays out, but a mismatch on the matchup. Smart might get under Kyrie's skin. I could see that happening. But they keep talking about Ben Simmons may come back like game 4, which I think they should just shelve him for the rest of the season, to be honest. But if he does come back, that does bring another element to the series. And yeah, I just don't see how the Celtics, they can match up with KD and Kyrie, but if they can somehow get this tied up 2-2 by the time Simmons come back, and you haven't had no film on Simmons this year, I think that could be a complete nightmare for Boston.
Interesting. I mean, the Celtics don't have Robert Williams for this series because he sustained a significant injury. I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. But that's going to be an intriguing series. How about that Memphis-Minnesota series, though? I think that series is going to be so much fun. Oh, my God.
That was my closet favorite because it's a couple of things, right? Minnesota celebrated, and we got to talk about this. They acted as if they had won the national championship.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, I'm happy for you guys. Good job. Congratulations. Get ready for your series. But they doing all this extra, like Beverly just running around the court, like
jumping up on the scores.
Yeah, like you gotta act like you've been there before, Chief. Like class it up. You guys haven't won a championship. You want a play-in game. Like, come on. But besides that, Minnesota, at the end of the season, they were hot. Also, they beat a lot of teams. They are mismatch problems for a lot of opposing teams. Then you have Beverly, he's like a gnat, you know what I'm saying? He's going to irritate you. And he's a gnat that you can't kill. So he's going to keep following you, like, but he's going to keep doing that. He's going to get under your skin.
I have a feeling he's going to be matched up with Ja Morant.
And this is Ja Morant's first time going against him in the playoffs, right? So he's going to see. We could see a potential escalation on the court because of this. Because Beverly doesn't care, and Ja Morant needs this exposure. Just like I was saying with Garland, they have to get this under their belt because it's a different ball game in the playoffs, and it's very physical and intense. So
yeah.
I like that game, and Minnesota might beat them.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, man. Yeah, they nice.
I'm not going to go that far, but I think this series goes the full 7 games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just think Memphis has a little too much offensively with Jaren Jackson, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks.
Let me throw this rebuttal to you, or just to think about it.
Sure.
So, like we said, they're 20-2 without Ja Morant, right? Who's to say that when Ja come back, they don't throw their chemistry off in the playoffs? Right? And before you answer, you can't do that run and gun style. Like it's different in the regular season, but it's gonna be a lot of half court sets now, right? So you got those two components. You could see this potentially being an upset.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Karl Anthony Towns fouled out with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The Bulls were lucky that Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell, went off the way they did in the remaining time.
Especially Edwards.
Right. But if the Timberwolves think they can get away with that again in this series, no way.
But also, Anthony Towns, before he fouled out, he only had I think 8 points or so too. He was doing bad shooting. That's not going to happen again.
He can't play like that again. Otherwise, Memphis might sweep this series.
Oh, that's going on the limb right there.
I'm not saying Memphis is going to sweep. I'm saying if Karl Anthony Towns continues to play that bad,
It can be. I follow you.
Exactly. Memphis could sweep the series. That's
But
what
we did see the growth of Anthony Edwards too, though, which, man, he started to emerge, like, to the point where now they're running plays for him. And I was impressed. I can't lie. Like, that was like the first game where they just say, okay, we took you with this pick for a reason. Show us what you could do. And he carried that team on their back, man.
Yeah. I love what Brian says. Minnesota's celebration was hilarious. I'm happy for them, but man, shaking my head. I mean,
World champions.
Yeah, you can't. It was a playing game. You didn't even make. You didn't like win the Western Conference Finals or something. You won.
It wasn't even the first round win.
Correct. It wasn't even like you won your first round series. You won. It was like, hey, here's your participation trophy. You participated. It's like
the Clippers.
it's like when you're in elementary school and you get one of those good job certificates, like great job. That's how I view the play-in tournament. So for the Timberwolves to celebrate like that, I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing?
It was like, come on, guys. Like, all right. Like, it was cool first 2 minutes, but it's like, all right, y'all, let's wrap this up so y'all go in the locker room, get prepared for your next game. Beverly wiping tears away, and it was a very theatrical, propaganda-filled show, dog and pony show, to say the least.
I mean, I guess in the Timberwolves' defense, they haven't had much playoff success. So for them to do, I think that was only their second playoff appearance, or this will be their second playoff appearance since 2018. Other than that, I couldn't tell you the last time the Timberwolves were in the playoffs.
Kevin Garnett, they had some talent before. So, Ronnie Zerbiak, they made the playoffs prior, and then they had Sam Cassell as they general floor general. So they've had good teams in the past, but for them to act the way they did recently, come on, guys, you show some respect for the legends that's played for you guys. Like, they did this before, so it wasn't something new.
So let's say that on Friday the Cavs beat the Hawks, and they have that type of celebration. What's your reaction to be?
I'm not going to be happy with it because what have we done? You know what I mean? Like, we lost. So why are we celebrating for being the final seed? Like, that's beneath us. King James was here. We were on TNT nightly, in the finals yearly. So that's nothing. Like, now we got that cachet. Cavaliers, we expect more than just a play-in. So I will hope that they don't do that way.
All right. So we got about 5 minutes left. If we end up getting into the 8th seed, how do you think we match up with Miami? Do you like the matchup? Because I personally think, I don't think we could win that series, but I think we could push the series to 6 games.
I'm probably with you on that. It's going to be it's an uphill battle, especially when we play down in Miami. It's hard for the young kids to be focused in South Beach, which I wonder why, right?
Wait. You're saying it's hard to focus in a city like Miami?
I don't understand why. Like, what's the big deal, right?
I mean, wait a minute. So if we were playing the Lakers, it would be easy to focus, right? Because there's nothing to do in Los Angeles.
It would probably be easier, but that's in the Western Conference. So, Miami. But to get back on basketball.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's cool. Matchup wise, we are an interesting matchup for them. We have beat them multiple times this year.
Yeah, we won the season series against them 2-1. And one of those wins was actually down in Miami.
Right. We talked about that.
Right, which was our first win down in Miami in 20 games. We had
Exactly.
lost 20 consecutive games at Miami.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah, they was focused, man. It's just they they snapped the snide. But matchup wise, I think I would have liked to play them better than Boston, like I alluded to earlier. Will we win? Probably not. We're probably losing 6. I'm thinking. I'm hopeful that we can potentially win, but we do create a matchup problem for them.
Yeah. Do you think so? We both agree that the series would probably go 6 games. Do you think there's any chance the series could go the full 7?
There's always a chance, especially if if we have Jared Allen back. If we are able to steal one of the games, the first of the 2 games down there, if we could steal one of those, you absolutely know that we have a chance to go to 7 games.
Yeah. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left, so let's do our NBA Finals predictions. Who's coming out of the West?
Out of the West, that's a tough one, right? But I think the Suns. I think the Suns is probably going to come out the West. It's looking like Suns out the West, out the East. I think Milwaukee could beat any of these teams. Yeah. And they got a low seed, so they under the radar. Nobody's really talking about them.
And no one can stop them.
Exactly, and no one can stop Giannis. He's the best on the court anytime they play anybody, including KD.
So, if I'm hearing you right, we're getting a rematch of last year's NBA
Finals.
We
are, unfortunately, and the results might be the same. Suns they're licking their chops because I know that's who they want. They want their revenge, but I think the Bucks might do it again, man.
Ooh, okay. So you're picking the Bucks?
Yeah.
In how many games?
Oh, now you really put me on the spot.
Live on Facebook, and it will be on YouTube later, so you can't escape this.
6. I'll say 6 games. No, I'll say 7 games.
So the series did go 6 games last year.
It'll go 7 this time.
All right.
Yeah.
I agree with you about Phoenix coming out of the West.
Mm-hmm.
But out of the East, while I could agree with you on Milwaukee, Miami's intriguing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Partially because it's Phoenix and Miami. Those are 2 really hot cities. I'm going to go ahead, though, and say Phoenix and Boston.
Boston? That's interesting. I see them taking Giannis.
I think the Celtics can do it. I love what Jason Tatum is doing. I think Marcus Smart, like you said earlier, he is an underrated defender. I don't know if he's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year or not, but if he isn't, that's an absolute travesty because he needs to be. Ime Udoka I think is the leading candidate for Coach of the Year. Because think about it, the Celtics started out like hot garbage, and now they're the number 2 seed in the East.
Yeah, but then you got Minnesota's coach.
Yeah, Chris Finch.
It's a few candidates, even Burkestaff. So
yeah, but I'm going to say Phoenix, Boston. Phoenix wins it. I want Phoenix to win it on their home court, but Boston's not just going to roll over. I'm going to say Phoenix in 7.
Phoenix in 7. Okay, that's realistic. I can see that.
Yeah.
If Boston get past the Nets.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's big. I know the Nets would have rather played Boston, but I don't think Boston would have rather played the Nets. Feel me? So. Yeah. I don't know. Say again.
I said, explain what you mean.
So basically, Boston probably was looking at it like, man, I'd rather play the Cavs. Man, we could beat them. You know what I'm saying? We beat them before, even though they came back on us earlier in the season. We could beat them. But the Nets, KD and Kyrie are KD and Kyrie. So we know what to expect from those guys. Then they have the acquisitions that was made with Drummond. Then they got Curry. I mean, I know he's injured, but he still can shoot. And then what if Simmons come back? I wouldn't want that smoke at all.
Yeah. This is not your traditional 7 seed that Boston is facing.
It's not.
No. Brooklyn was easily going to get, I think, the number 1 seed before Kevin Durant got injured.
I could see that, yeah. They got good coaching, so man, we'll see, man. Well, the verdict's still out on coaching. I mean, I'm not gonna say that. This will be Nash's proving grounds.
Yeah, I'm not ready to.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not fully convinced on Steve Nash as the head coach, but I'm not ready to say, oh, he should get fired or anything like that.
He got the talent though.
He does.
KD and Kyrie are going to be better. If you compare players to players on each team, they'll probably have 2 of the best players on the court.
Oh yeah,
Tatum will probably be 3rd, right?
Yeah. I just wonder though, is Steve Nash actually this good of a coach, or is it because he has Kyrie and Kevin Durant?
I think it's the latter. In the NBA is a little different. Coaching is, it's a different type of influence. You got to have the star players in the NBA, just like with Steve Kerr. Do he get the credit for being a great coach, or is it because he had future Hall of Famers in the making?
Yeah. So we got to get going. We went a little bit over time today, but great show. Jay, I'm sure you will do a great job editing this and getting it uploaded on the Sports Journals channel afterwards.
Absolutely.
You always do. So, but tune in tomorrow for a special Jackie Robinson Day episode of So What's the Catch? Brian will be back next week for the Sports Journals. But until then, he's Jason. I'm Unger to the Max. If you haven't already, subscribe to Manalytics as usual and subscribe to Unger to the Max on YouTube. Actually, Jay, you and I should do more video collaboration.
Well, hey, we are, and they're coming. So, you viewers, stay tuned. We're going to do a couple of collabo mixtapes.
All right, I'm down. But I will see you on the next episode. Sound good?
All right, y'all. Peace.
Talk to you.